Welcome to Phone Booth Fighting Quarantine Chronicles, everybody. You know the drill by now. We are streaming almost on a daily basis. I have to come up with a term, Frank. It's I don't know if semi-daily, I guess, is good. It's not quite daily, but semi-daily? Think.
Yeah, that's pretty
Semi-daily.
much close enough. Yeah, because sometimes we do it twice in a day if
That's
information
right.
comes up after we've taped.
That would be multi-daily. So sometimes it's semi-daily, sometimes it's multi-daily, but one thing is for certain, you get the one free weekly podcast, just like you always have with Phone Booth Fighting. And then all those other streams that we're talking about, the semi-dailies, the multi-dailies, they're going on Patreon page. Patreon.com/phone booth fighting. We're adding subscribers there who are quarantined along with us, and we're going to be adding some bells and whistles to this thing. I think I've got an idea of how to hold in some of our Patreon subscribers to our live broadcast. So perfect time to join up over there, different level to join at. Just go to patreon.com/phone booth fighting and tell a friend. All right, Frank, what's happening over there at stately Mir Manor today?
Oh, we got a good hard lift in today. Bella Cage and Ronan and got a training in over at Nick's. Did our strongman stuff, and this evening we're going to go and get on some mats and do some jiu-jitsu.
Are the kids aspiring to lift our objects yet? Like, are their wheels turning and thinking, "Oh, we should try to pick up mom's car," or that sort of thing? They getting inspired?
Actually, we just got brought up today that we're all going to try to enter into a strongman competition. The kids, I guess there's a teenage category for Cage and Bella, and I can enter into a novice since I've never did any strength competitions before. So we're going to, jump into one and try. Just because that type of strongman, I don't know if you've ever watched those competitions. And one of these times when you feel, once all this opens up again and we can have larger groups, you got to come with us to watch the workouts because they're incredible. That really does correlate over to what we do in fighting as far as anaerobic training. You're just you're moving heavy things under duress for as long as you can.
I've been watching them online, and I am fascinated by how I guess Nick has just commandeered his entire cul-de-sac there. Do the neighbors come to the window, and are they just used to it? It seems
they're used to it, and most of them are fans. So they'll come out and wave and say hi. And obviously, because of what the situation is now, no one's coming out and shaking hands and hanging out. But, they see that we're there and just everybody kind of keeps an appropriate amount of distance and we wave and talk. And, usually some guys will ask questions about why we're doing what we're doing. And, and Nick is just, always forthcoming with information. And, I mean, he'll talk to the whoever and just you couldn't find a guy that he would think that would be a waste of time for him to share knowledge with.
You can see all this stuff on Nick Best's social media, World's Strongest Man. And then, of course, Frank's got it up on his as well, and all the kids doing the lifting competition. Somebody ought to do World's Strongest Family. I'm surprised that hasn't, like a family feud of brute strength. I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
Well, I'm just trying to make the perfect assassin. So we do MMA, and now we're doing all the strength training stuff for physical fitness. And then now, my dad is into this IBPA, which is like this shooting competitions where they're running around, hitting targets and going through. So my father's like, he's been doing it for about a year now. And he's like, hey, son, as soon as this comes out, I'll get you and the kids out there. He's showing me where they compete at. So we're going to just be the ultimate family.
Interesting. All right. Then it'll be 3 generations. That'd be pretty cool. Right. To get your dad involved. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, so I got to ask you about this story today. I don't know if you saw this or not. Did you see that the governor of Florida has declared the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, an essential business, along with firefighters and hospital workers, so that the WWE can continue to operate in Orlando?
Yeah, I did see that just because I saw something on the news that it lured me in where it said that basically Florida was opening up the door for MMA to make a quicker return. So then that caught my attention, and I always kind of felt that the pro wrestling was kind of leading the way as far as helping us. If you're going to let them do it, then that's pretty much a strong argument for allowing us to be able to put on fights. So
agreed.
you know, I think that if they're going to go and it'll show how they're going to do it. I mean, somebody has to go first, and I think that I'm glad it's in a lot of ways that it's not the UFC, just because again they're the flagship of MMA. If something bad happens, I don't want it to be on their shoulders. You know, let the pro wrestling go ahead and take the blunt of it. And if it turns out and it's all clear, you know, it's kind of like walking across a minefield. I'll do it, but I'm not going to be the first one. You go first.
I hear you on all that, but let's back up to the fact that they have been given the designation of essential worker. So you again, firemen, policemen, you know, grocery store stocker, you know, those kinds of things, and then WWE wrestler. Now,
yeah, but I mean, it's already the essential workers thing is kind of a loose term. I mean, right now, if I wanted to go to Del Taco, go through the drive-through, there's people there working. I don't know if, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, so, I mean, this whole essential worker thing, there's some people that are minimum wage workers that I don't know if their health being put at risk is really warranted, but they fall under that essential worker. I mean, seems like it, you know, it's a pretty broad term right now, and it isn't like the pro wrestlers are the first ones to break into that category. That has brought a little bit of question on my part of how generous we are with that term.
Boy, I don't know. I think that line of entertainment is the concerning one that they're crossing there, because yeah, I mean, certainly nobody should be like somebody working at Del Tacos shouldn't be forced into service if they're not comfortable being there working or whatever. But we do understand that everybody has to eat. They have to have their trash picked up. They have to have medical assistance. So there's a few basic things like that. But this is like putting a television show into production, because God, this is a popular television show. And this show shoots in the state of Louisiana, or it shoots in, you know, I don't know, Montana or something like that. And that's important to the state's business. Look, here's what I think you've got brewing here, Frank. I think you have Governor DeSantis, who is a big Trump supporter. And what do the WWE and the UFC have in common? They are run by Vince McMahon and Dana White, respectively. Both of those guys are big Trump supporters. I think this has everything to do with we're on this side of the equation. We're on this team. And man, I think this doesn't have anything to do with Trump. I'm not blaming Trump for this WWE thing. This is all on Governor DeSantis. But it is very Trumpian in the sense of this is cronyism at its. This is the definition of cronyism, and cronyism looks real bad when you're supposedly trying to drain swamps.
Yeah, but I know we say that entertainment is not an essential aspect, but it kind of is. You have a lot of people now trapped in their homes that are, you know, look, some of the guys I lived with, they're police officers. Right now, they've never responded to so many domestic violence calls as they are right now. You know, people are on top of each other, trapped inside. Kids are getting beat like they've never been beaten before because they're driving their parents nuts. Distraction, you know, I mean, look, the Romans had it. I mean, like, it serves a purpose that actually does help out society. You know, I mean, books for inspiration, you know, and, you know, watching your superheroes go and battle it out in times like this could raise morale. So I'm all for that. That's why, again, I think it's a good idea to, as soon as we can, MMA and pro wrestling, they do have the format to be able to put out a product that would be beneficial to society to have right now at very minimal risk to people involved. I think that the only real cry against it is if it's in good taste or if it's a good idea. And then the more I sit here and think about it, I was like, well, I'll counter that it is a good idea. People need a distraction right now. People need some kind of inspiration that, hey, man, some kind of slice of normalcy. Like, hey, look, the world will be normal once again, and we're going to get back to things. Seeing that, I think, could be a very good, positive thing. And as long as we're not spreading the infection, you're not drawing crowds, and the fact that fights and pro wrestling events can be put on with such a minimum amount of people, I think that, I think it leads the way to that conversation we had earlier in shows where, like, now, look, put a music band up there, have a couple comedians go up on stage and get together and, a camera crew, a production, and be able to ship that into a Netflix special and have people. I could see a ton of benefit outweighing the risk.
Do you think then that all entertainment should be brought back? Now, what I mean is anything that doesn't require gathering a large group of people. So should all movies back into production, television shows, all that sort of thing?
I think if you could take into consideration that the impact of what it can do, obviously having large crowds, or if you have to put together an event, obviously putting together a football match, I don't see how feasible that is because of the amount of, hell, you have 50 some players on each team, before you even get coaches and staff and trainers and refs, you're getting up to 200 guys. So certain sports are handicapped, but I think certain forms of entertainment aren't. I mean, look, you grab 5 comedians and 2 cameramen and maybe a guy in the truck doing broadcasts. I mean, hell, you could put on one hell of a comedy show, 15 people, and 5 of them being the comedians. I think that would help people tune in. I mean, I think people need distraction right now. They need something to tune into because, sitting there and just in fear right now of what's going on with society and where they are, there's so many things that really are not within our control right now. Getting a job, it isn't like it's like, well, because you're lazy and you're not putting out applications, your place of business or the job you had is closed down. So,
right.
Just sitting there stressing out, there are times when distraction's a good thing. Hell, I use it in my own career. You've seen me right before fights when I'm really nervous, I'm on my phone or iPad or whatever. I'm trying to distract myself because
one time we went to a movie.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that was weird. Yeah.
Having things to distract you aren't
sure.
There are a lot of positive. It isn't like you're sitting there going, well, you had a bunch of work to get done and you sat on your ass doing this. Right now, it's like, well, sit on your ass. It's for your safety to stay home. So if I sat there and go, well, what if we started creating more entertainment for people to stay home? Something new. Because right now, I mean, you're just going through old movies, old shows. Hell, man, I was going back through Futurama episodes last night. I'm running out of things to go through. Because,
I got some suggestions for you. Don't worry.
But that being my point being is that, there is a lot of the things that we've had in the past we don't have. So I think having more material out there, and if it's not causing a true danger, I think that it definitely on the moral victory side, it's more on the side of being positive than it is negative.
Well, I get all that, and I'm not in disagreement with it in terms of bringing back whatever you can safely. And comedy example of that because, you're right. You could have, I mean, you don't even need to have 2 comedians in the same room together. You could have them one in one place, one in another, skeleton crew to operate. And I'm sure we're already seeing some things like that done online, very similar to the way you and I are doing our podcasts. And I think we will see all that. My position on it, though, is 2 things. One, I think it's going to be difficult to say what gets to come back before other things within a certain personnel level. So if it takes a certain number of people to put on WWE or UFC, if it takes that that same number of people to shoot, a season of whatever is popular on Netflix or whatever, it seems like we're going to get into a hey, what about me conversation real quick with all of those groups and crews and shows and promotions and all that. So where you're saying, let's just put them all back to work, my feeling about that is, well, let's all wait so that we don't say, okay, well, since we said it's okay for this group, now it's okay for everybody with that same personnel level. But the second part, and the more concerning part to me, is this business of I mean, I'm taking it as more of an affront than you are, but this idea that we're going to designate anybody at this point in the entertainment field, whether it's my favorite TV show, and listen, I'm somebody who makes a living on entertainment. Like, I mean, this is all I can do right now is podcast. Every other thing I do involves entertainment. And so, but as an entertainer, I'm saying, let's all sit, as opposed to, I would just feel my face would be red, Frank, if somebody told me, hey, good news, we're putting your comedy on the same list as the EMT crew on the street at the Summerlin Hospital,
Yeah,
it'd make me a little tense.
Maybe because of how they've broadly, they've used the term essential worker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, again, I mean, obviously medical personnel, and when I say medical personnel, I mean everybody at the hospital, from the guy who's obviously the head physician, all the way down to the porter who's cleaning out the garbage cans.
Right.
Those guys are in their own category. You know what I mean? Or but we've classified, again, and I'm not taking anything away from them, they are at risk, but grocery store clerks, fast food attendants, there's certain businesses where I'm like, is that really essential? I mean, like right now, like how essential is it really to have McDonald's open?
Well, yeah. The problem with that,
them an essential worker, it's like, all right, obviously the McDonald's worker is not anywhere near on the same level as the nurse who's taking care of a COVID-19 patient.
Right.
And then, so look, and also too, when it comes to this thing, I mean, everybody has to be exposed to it eventually. We're just trying to slow it down. So I feel that trying to open up some of the entertainment things, as long as obviously we just have to set accordingly standards. We've done it already, where as far as like, hey, keep 6 feet away from people, don't get in groups of more than 10, we're trying to mitigate it as much as possible. But obviously the zero factor of like, hey, this is going to go away before we get infected. It's like, well, that's not how I'm reading it. How I'm reading it is that eventually we all have to get it. We're all going to get the COVID-19 or be exposed to it, but we just need to spread out the exposure so that we don't overflow or, oversaturate our hospitals. Our hospitals can only handle so many thousands of people being sick each month. We don't need too many people sick at once, but eventually throughout the year, everybody's going to get sick because a vaccine is not going to be available anytime soon. We're just trying to elongate this. So that's why, like, when I hear people tell me like, oh, I'm scared to get it, I'm on. Eventually you're going to be exposed to this thing. We're not going to be able to eradicate it. It's not going away. It's like the flu virus. It's never going away.
Yeah.
It exists now.
I think a real breaking point for that, Frank, is going to be testing, because long before we're going to have a vaccine, we're going to have more available and better testing. And you're right. I mean, it could, like, I got a pretty nasty flu, I think in like November, right around there. So is it possible that maybe I already got a tinge of it? Possibly, and I look forward to being able to find out once tests are not just for the ones that are obviously sick, but, once it gets to the point where everybody really can get a test, I gotta look forward to getting that, to seeing, hey, maybe I already got, maybe I've already got an antibody for it or something like that. So I think that'll make a big difference too. I also, and this falls into your category of washing your hands before you pee. I think this could actually change some things about how the average person, just like what they touch, what they don't touch, what they think about. Not only making you paranoid or you're not going to be able to live your life or something like that, but for example, just like you do that where you wash your hands before you pee, I always take in the public restroom, I take the paper towel that I dried my hands with. Use that to open the door handle if I can. I throw the door handle. I mean, it's just, or I'll pull my sleeve if I'm wearing a sweatshirt or something. I don't have a paper towel. Little things like that I think maybe people didn't pay so much attention to now. Maybe they'll start thinking about things like that. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Actually, one thing I'm greatly trying to give a lot of thought to is I'm thinking about eliminating the handshake from just my social decorum.
Right. Yeah.
The more I think about it, shaking people's hands, barehanded, touching them. I mean, especially you don't have. I don't see that being feasible to every time you shake someone's hand to step back and douse your hands in hand sanitizer.
Right. Yeah.
You could try to, and that might be the answer that's intermediate in between. But I'm starting to think just a fist bump might become the future of how I interact with people. Just like, hey, how's it going? I acknowledge you. We see each other, but maybe the handshake becomes a medieval thing where we're just the thing of the past, where it's like me exposing myself to whatever germs you have on your hand. And now, especially, I mean, look, when I do a meet and greet, I got 400 people in line. Am I really supposed to, antibiotic my hands in between every handshake? It would look. I don't see that as being feasible. But, a fist bump, and just maybe call it a day. I mean, I think shaking hands is even worse off than a hug, as far as if you think about the amount of where germs are. It's in your hands. It's the dirtiest part of your body.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why I wash my hands before I take a leak, before I touch my penis. I clean my hands because out of the two, my hands are the most dangerous. It's the dirty thing.
Smart. I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. I have adopted the Frank Mir approach to that ever since you told me that. Speaking of friends having influences, I'm thinking about, like you said, do you keep shaking hands or do you go to the fist bump now or whatever? I'm thinking about doing what my dearly departed friend Vinnie Paul from Pantera used to do. Every photo that anybody's ever taken with Vinnie, including one of the ones you and I have with him, is he does the finger point. He'll point at the camera, right? And so I was thinking maybe I'll just, I see you and I give you the old Frank,
Maybe the Japanese have it better than us.
The bow? Yeah.
Wow, man.
Makes sense.
You know what? We all kind of do it anyways. I mean, you think about it, when you walk by somebody, I do that. I don't know. If that's, I don't know people. And if we make eye contact, you have the little, hey, the upward nod, the
knowing nod. Yes, exactly. I heard, I was seeing Kevin Bacon interviewed. He was talking about the fact that he was asked, he was actually doing Conan O'Brien's home show. And Conan was asking him if people, stop him as much, like if he's out for a walk. And he said, no, he's like, I've actually kind of noticed, like, people will wave from far away or whatever. But even with celebrities, they're more mindful of, this person probably doesn't want me coming right up on them, right? So what I was thinking, he was saying basically that he thought that selfies were kind of done. And I'm waiting for the person who starts taking the picture with the celebrity where they're holding the camera up, but the celebrity's 6 feet behind them in the background, Hey, all right, Frank Mir, listen, stop right there. Don't move. Don't get any closer to me, but let me just line this camera up just go ahead and smile there in the back,
The socially responsible selfie.
Yeah. And the angle would be pretty fun too, because even though you're a giant human, you would look like a miniature in the background, Yeah. All right. Well, interesting stuff. So you mentioned working out. We've got the mats in the garage. So Jennifer is she's picking up jiu-jitsu quick, Frank. I'm pretty impressed with what she's learned so far. I had shown her in the past like some pretty basic things, but You ever notice like when they just have a better retention for things than others? Like you show like one technique to 2 to 3, and then you kind of show how all those chain together. And you think I kind of build in the time in the back of my mind. Oh, the next day and the day after that, we're to go over all this stuff again. And that kind of had been the case with her. She's retained it. So I'm building my own monster out there in the garage.
Nice. Can't wait till we all can get together. We'll work on it.
Well, you're gonna be the first to come over. So my next thought is this: that I'm setting up the other side of the garage so that we can actually get good filming for this. Because our idea is for you guys to come over and us to train on the mats in the garage, but we want to film it. We want to share it with everybody. So I'm clearing out some space back there, so I've got enough room to put my camera, laptop, and all that. So we set up the lights and all that kind of stuff, and then we can put it up here on the internet for everybody. I think that would be a good thing. Speaking of internet content, I'm going to try something here. I'll pull back the curtain. We're actually trying out some new software for the broadcast today, so hopefully this looks good to people. Man, let me know how it goes. One thing that I am supposed to be able to do is to add graphics to this. So what I am going to attempt to do is I'm going to attempt to show everybody this Patreon page that we're always talking so much about. And let me see here. I'm going to dump that in right there. Can you see that, Frank, right now?
Yeah, I can.
So you're seeing me scroll through it right here? Yeah,
I do, but it's hard to read small on my phone.
Yeah, that's okay. Frank's on his phone, but the idea is there. So what you're looking at right here is patreon.com/phone booth fighting. Those are all the semi-daily episodes that we put up there, past episodes, and they go out not only as a video for you to watch, but if you want to just download the RSS feed, that goes directly to your phone or to your device, and you can just listen to the audio if you're out there working you're one of these essential workers. You know, we've actually heard from those folks, Frank, some people that are still out there working in the medical field or some sort of construction or something like that. There's our buddy Corey Forrester from Red Comedy joining us. And they're telling me they're listening to these podcasts and taking work with them just like they've always done. So it's nice to have those folks with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Why don't you tell everybody about the other great way to support the show right now in these quarantine times, which is that Amazon banner?
Yeah, one of the easiest ways really to help us out here at the show. Click on phoneboothfighting.com. You'll see the Amazon banner on our webpage. Scrolling down just a little bit, by clicking on that webpage, transfer you to Amazon. You can do all your shopping for your wants and needs, and a small percentage of your purchases come back here to help us out at the show at no extra cost for you.
All right.
Too,
hey,
follow along with me on my social media, guys. The two things, obviously, you can see, I mean, I'm picking up 800 pounds and walking with it. I'm still lifting like crazy and doing all the different workouts. But obviously, American Shaman, the CBD company, that stuff's helping me out drastically. I mean, if you're into CBD, go on my social media, scroll up on it. You'll get 20% off on the Frank Mir 20 code. And I just got the CBD night, and it's been helping out drastically. And the other thing I take is Mitrospec. And Mitrospec right now has the same thing going. If you go on them and you retweet or follow the Mitrospec and you're following us, they'll go through and they'll pull up and they'll send you guys out their I think it's a relaxation package, some of the different things and formulas they have, which is Kratom. And Kratom's an unbelievable thing to have.
We also have those links at phoneboothfighting.com too. So if you don't see that on Frank's social media, just go to the website and click on the banners there, and that'll get you there as well. Wait, how about any homework assignments, Frank? Did you know that Netflix has posted a new additional episode of Tiger King?
I just saw it last night. I did. It was funny.
Okay,
I was clicking on Netflix to go on things, because I go between Netflix and Hulu, and I saw that was the #1 episode again, and I looked. I was like, "Oh, episode 8. What's that?"
Yeah. Okay, I haven't seen it yet. So tonight, then so let's watch it. We can discuss that tomorrow. The other thing is, and I texted you about this. Have you seen McMillions yet on HBO?
No, I'm sorry. You did tell me that, but I have not.
Yeah, this is worthwhile. It is. It's not the white trash spectacular that Tiger King is, but not completely unlike it in the sense of this is an ensemble cast of strange characters it shows you how organized crime entirely took over that McDonald's Monopoly game that they've been doing forever.
That's right. I got to look at that because I find that interesting. No, Ronan was starting to watch because when I was younger, I was very much into Japanese animation and different manga, and Roro's on it now. So he was watching the 7 Deadly Sins and was talking to me about it, and I hadn't seen it for like 2 years, and I hadn't even seen season 3. So I had to jump back on there and go through it and catch up. So I've been binge watching Japanese animation.
All right. Well, that's cool. If anybody has suggestions for us, we'll talk about some of the things we've watched, and then if you guys have suggestions, send them to us, and we'll look those up too and talk about them on the stream as well. But yeah, check that one out, because one thing I know that got you into Tiger King, and McMillions definitely has this, is it's every 15 to 30 minutes they're introducing a new character. Like, you're like, this couldn't get any stranger. Wait a second, who is this person? It's like that. So anyway, you'll dig it. Okay, for Frank Mir, I'm Richard Hunter. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for another edition of Phone Booth Fighting. Okay.